We continue now at the top of Daf Ayin Teslam and Beis Meseches Eruvin. This is Eruvin Daf 79b. This is Rav Huna Breder Rav Yehoshua's opinion in terms of you have a separation of teven, a pile of straw that's within a house, and it's creating a separation between two chatzeros. So he says, v'teven shivo mashu, you're going to have the house itself, the roof itself is just going to be 10 tvachim high, and even if you have the straw pile that's not even 10 tvachim high, it's just 7 and a little bit, that connects to the ceiling of the house, and it creates a full wall separation between the two chatzeros, techol pachos mishlosha kalavud dami, because if you have less than 3 tvachim, it's like lavud, so the top of the pile of straw is considered connected to the top of the ceiling, and you have a separation within this house, which effectively separates the two chatzeros. Gemara says, Bishlam ala Abaya hainu dekatani me'asara. Now, according to Abaya's explanation, remember, this was all an explanation of the Braisa on the previous Amud. It actually says 10, so the implication is that the teven itself, the pile of straw itself, is 10 tvachim. That works well according to Abaya. Ela Rav Huna Breder Rav Yehoshuah, but according to Rav Huna Breder Rav Yehoshuah, mai me'asara. What do you mean 10 tvachim? The straw itself only has to be 7 tvachim and a little bit. It doesn't even need to be 10 tvachim. So the Gemara says, mitoras asar, from the law of 10 tvachim, meaning when you use the law of lavud and you connect the pile of straw, which is 7 tvachim high and a little bit, and you connect it to the ceiling, which is 10 tvachim high, you have toras asara, you have a law of 10 tvachim high. Shnei and asur, and again it said that if the pile of straw goes too low, so then both chatzeros become asur because they didn't make an eruv with one another, so they asur one another. So the Gemara says, Shema mina diyurin haboyin b'Shabbos asurin. Can we see from this that if you have residents who come on Shabbos, that it creates an isser? Rashi over here explains, Shema mina diyurin haboyin b'Shabbos ki hacha de'emesh lo haya diyurin elu sholten min hateven v'hala. Yesterday, these residents, they didn't have any area, they didn't have any rulership, so to speak, over the area beyond the teven. There was a wall separating them from the other side of the house. V'yachshav hein sholten b'chol habayis. Now they have access to the whole house because the height of the wall has diminished, and apparently Asurin v'lo amar Shabbos hol v'hutra hutra. Apparently we don't say since Shabbos started beheter, it continues beheter. Upluksi v'parakama gabe sher shachansa b'bika. This was an earlier machlokas in the Masechet. So do we see over here that if something changes on Shabbos, it should suddenly become asur? So the Gemara answers, Dilma de'imit me'asmal. No, it could be that when it talks about the Isser over here in this Brisa, it's talking about the height of the Teven being diminished before Shabbos. But Einochinami, maybe if it happened on Shabbos, it would not be a problem. So then it said again, if the height of the Mechitza was diminished and you have an Isser, now the residents from each side are answering one another, how can you alleviate that problem? One side closes off his house and he's Mevatel his Rishus, and then it's going to be fine. So the Gemara says, Tarti, what do you need to do both for? Why do you need to close the house and be Mevatel Rishus? Just do the bittul, or just do the closing of the house. So the Gemara says, no, that's what it really means. Oh, Noel is beso, oh, Mevatel is Rishus. So he can do either or. Either he can close off his house, or he can be Mevatel Rishus. Rashi here says, oh, Noel is beso, the Goli daite de stalik mehacha. He shows he doesn't want any more of this area. V'hainu bitule, that ends up being the same as bittul, or he could just do a bittul. So that's one answer. V'bai same, another answer is liolam tarti, he really does need to do both. Kevon dedosh be asi l'tiltule, because in this case he's so used to using that area, he's going to end up moving in that. He's going to end up moving things in that area. In terms of his friend, actually he only needs to do one. In other words, he could just do bittul, and now his friend on the other side is totally mutter. But he himself needs to distance himself from a possible isser. We don't want him to come carry by mistake. Rashi points out that according to this opinion, anytime you're mevatel rishus, you need to do some type of closing off of your door so you don't accidentally carry in an area where you should not be carrying. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, hu asr v'chaveru mutter, again, when one person is mevatel rishus, so that person is prohibited to carry, but the other person now can carry because he was mevatel as rishus to that other individual. So Gemara says, pshita, isn't that obvious? Obviously, if you're mevatel your rishus to the other individual can carry. Gemara says, lo tzricha, no, it's needed. The case is then the other guy tried to be mevatel back to the first guy. V'kamashmon, it comes to teach us, dein mevatel v'chozun mevatel. You can't do that. You can't have one person, Ruvain, be mevatel to Shimon, now Shimon carries, and then Shimon goes ahead and mevatel back to Reuven, and Reuven carries. That's not allowed. Finally, the Brisa said that if you have a pit of straw between two tchums, each one can take from the side of the pit that's on their tchum. Pshita again isn't that obvious. Lo tzricha, no, it's needed to Rabbi Akiva. According to Rabbi Akiva, damar tchum and doraisa. He says that tchum is an isser doraisa. Mao detema ligzor dilma asi lechlufe kamash malon. I might think if it's a doraisa, maybe we should be concerned. You're going to take from a tchum that's not yours. You're going to take from the other side of the pit that's beyond your tchum. Kamash malon. It comes to teach us that we're not concerned with that. The Gemara continues with the Mishnah. Ketzad mishtatzvin b'mavoi. How do you make a shitufei mavos? Meineach es achaves. He places the barrel v'yomer and he says as follows: Harezu l'chol b'nei mavoi. This belongs to everyone in the mavoi. Umizaka lahen, he's mizaka the chaves to all the residents of the mavoi al yedei beno bito hagadolim, either through his adult children, v'al yedei avdo v'shivchaso ivrim, or his servants who are Jewish, v'al yedei ishto, or through his wife. They basically accept the barrel on behalf of all the other residents of the mavoi. He can't be mezaka through children who are minors. He also can't do it through his servants who are not Jewish, Eved Kanani, because their possession really is like his own possession. That's not zechia. Zechia is when an owner of something gives it to somebody else who then accepts it on behalf of the other residents or the other person who's accepting the object. Gemara says, Amar Rav Yehuda says, Chavis shel shitufei mavos. When you have a barrel that's used for a shitufei mavos, tzarech lahagbiyah min akarka tefach. You need to pick it up one tefach from the karka. Rashi says, Keshu mezako solahen. When he's being mezaket to the other residents, he's got to pick it up. Techol kama demancha b'reshusei lo have zechiyah. If it's sitting in his reshus, that's not zechiyah. V'achitani lo b'tosefta im mishalahen ein tzarech liskos v'mishalo hashliach magbiyah min akarka v'yomer zechisi lochem. That's where it says in the tosefta. If it's their own thing, if everyone's contributing, obviously you don't need zechiyah. But if it's his own thing and he's giving it through a shliach, through zechiyah, then you have to pick it up from the ground, one tefach. Amar Rava says, Hani tarti mili sabe de Pumbedisa amrinu. The following two things were said by the elders of Pumbedisa. Chadaha, one was the thing that we just said about picking it up, one tefach from the ground. Idach, and the other one was as follows. Rashi over here says, first Sabe to Pumbedisa, who's the elder of Pumbedisa, Rav Yehuda v'yeshivasu. It refers to Rav Yehuda and his yeshiva, Beshili Parakama de Sanhedrin. That's at the end of the first parak of Sanhedrin. So here you see Rav Yehuda made the first statement. That's the first statement from the elders of Pumbedisa. And the second one is as follows. Idach, the other one is as follows. HaMekadesh, let's say somebody is Mekadesh, meaning he makes Kiddush. Im Tam Mole Lugmav, if he tastes a cheekful of the wine, Yotza, then is Yotze the Kiddush. V'im Lav Lo Yotze, and if not, he is not Yotze Kiddush. He needs to drink a Molo Lugmav of the wine. Amar Rav Chaviva. Rav Chaviva says, Hanami Sabi de Pumbedisa Amrino. The following thing was also said by the elders of Pumbedisa. Damar Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, Osin Medura L'chaya b'Shabbos. You can make a bonfire, a large fire, for a woman who just gave birth on Shabbos. So Savra Mino L'chaya in L'chol Lo. They thought to say that's only true for someone who just gave birth, but someone who's sick, you're not allowed to do it. And B'Yemos HaGeshamim, and they also thought that that's only true in the rainy season, B'Yemos HaChamalo, but it's not true in the hot season. In the hot season already, you're not allowed to make a fire because it's already hot outside. There's not such a need. But the Gemara says Itmar that it was taught that that's not true. Amar Rav Chia bar Avin Amar Shmuel. Rav Chia bar Avin says in the name of Shmuel, Heikes dam. Let's say somebody did some bloodletting, v'nitztanin, and he's cold. Osin lo medur b'Shabbos. You can make from a bonfire on Shabbos. So again, you see, you don't have to be someone who just gave birth, even if it's a person who's ill. V'afilu b'tkufas tamas. Even if it's the summer months, you're allowed to do it. You see, it doesn't need to be the rainy season. It could even be the hot season. Amar Ameimar said, Hanami Sabi de Pumbedisa Amrinu. The following statement also was said by the elders of Pumbedisa. The Itmar was said as follows: Ezu hi Ashera Stam. What's considered a Stam Ashera? Rashi says, Ezu Ashera Stam. Afagav de lo chazinon le de palchua. We didn't see anyone serving this tree as an idol. Mechazkinon labachi. We assume it's an Ashera tree. When do we say that? Amar Rav says, Kol shemasharse of the kochavim shomer nosa. Anytime you have a tree which the people who serve avodah zara, they're guarding it, they're protecting this tree, you can assume that was served as avodah zara. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Pei Amud Aleph.